Hello, I'm Jim Harris. I'm a learning designer, part of Library and Learning Services. I'm available on email, so I'm one of us.
Even though you're one of us.
I'm wearing a t-shirt because these guys were good enough to share some training with me. I went down to Microsoft for 3 days to look at every aspect that we had within Office 365 and other parts of the suite. So as a learning designer, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the pedagogic approaches that can be enhanced through the use of this, not just click here to get your email. Okay? Balance equally between what we're doing and what our students will be doing with the software as well. Okay? So if you've got any of those kind of questions, come and speak to me afterwards. But for the moment, everyone's on the home page. I'm going to talk you through how we actually get into access of our OneDrive. Okay? So start off with, if you click on the Start tab, this is going to take you through your login. It should automatically log you through if you've got one of our newer devices. And once you're through on the Start tab, at the moment there isn't a button here saying Office 365, but IT have said it will come soon. So at the moment what we need to do is we need to go across on the right hand menu to the Student Hub. And when we get to the Student Hub, we see what students see, and you'll see that they've got this Office 365 button. So if you click on that tile, it will then take you through to your own staff area. Louise, I'll take you through this. That's right. No worries. So onto your website, onto the staff, then onto the student hub.
Could you just go straight into the students?
You can do, but the difference is that if you're looking at the staff, eventually when IT put over the icon here, just get used to go to staff, and then it moves to the student hub. Okay. Equally, the other side of it is to demonstrate it to students, to tell them where to get access to it. You'll be able to say it's on the student hub, and there'll be a tile there. Okay. So once you're there, you will then see something similar to this. Is everyone seeing that?
Yeah.
No?
Just
this slide. Okay, if it's very slow on Microsoft Edge, try it on if you've got Chrome installed.
Firefox is
Firefox is best. There's lots of different flavours around.
Okay, Firefox is quicker.
There are lots of flavours, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get used to using one or other. Hi there, how are you doing? Come and have a seat.
Fine. This is the blue ribbon. You are. Front row chair there. Just so you get a view of the screen. Okay, so everyone should be seeing this screen. No?
Just loading.
Okay.
Fine as that. Office 365.
So just try it again. Just refresh that page. It will work on a
Once you get to the start one, you'll be able to go
I've got onto it before.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a digital pen. You should write anything with it. That's a digital pen as well.
Yeah, you.
Keep working to getting you all there, and I'll just connect my device and we'll get going.
Yeah. So I'm just going to give you my device. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Simon. Okay, I'm just going to give you this device. Have you got a device with you? Okay, so if you want to just watch what Simon does. So I'm going to use Chrome on this, but other Chrome tabs open because I was doing bits and bobs.
Do you want to do this bit?
Yeah, okay. So, one of the other takeaways that the guys have done. Yeah, absolutely. It was basically the idea of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your fingers, quick poll. If you look there, and I want you to just raise your hands and tell me on your fingers how many of those apps you've heard of and used. So if it's just OneDrive, then just one.
Heard of all, used.
2, 3, 2, 3, 1.
Let's do it in two different ways.
So
then.
we've got 5 over
Heard
here.
of and used, let's do two lots. So if you've heard of them, give you a 1 to 5. So we can see who knows them, right, okay. And if you've used them, give us 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3. No. Right, so we've got a real mix, that's fine, that's no problem at all. And in a way, that's quite nice. And so my name's Alan, I'm one of Microsoft's learning consultants, so we go around lots of universities talking to them about how they use Office 365. And part of the Waterside Week is we're here today, and I'm here on Friday. And I've also got Kevin with me as well.
Hi, Rob.
Exactly the same. We'll be splitting the training. I'll be sharing some things with Kevin so you can see how quick it is to share various different bits as we go along. It's going to be hands-on, so the fact that you can see a device is important, so people can then click their way through as we talk through. There's only 2 slides. This one and this one. So OneDrive. Lots of people fear OneDrive because it's in the cloud. It's nothing to fear at all. How many people use shared drives at the moment? Yep, most of you. Okay. How many people have a storage place on a file server that you currently use, as well as shared drives? Yep. So you save your documents to somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah, we all do
So,
that, don't we?
all we're doing is saying to you when we bring OneDrive is saying instead of storing them where you were, you're going to store them in your OneDrive. And when it comes to shared documents, there's going to be sites created where you're going to store those shared documents. So it's nothing to fear. And it's very clever in that it will save particular documents to your device if you ask it to, or it will leave them up in the cloud. Okay? A little bit like other named storage areas. May not go to. But what you will see on your device, and I don't mind, yes, it's fine. Yes, like Dropbox, you're right. And it is a way of using it. And one of the reasons that the university is looking at using OneDrive is for things like GDPR. It is for security and compliance for you. So it actually pulls everything together and it knows that it's behind there for you. And you haven't got those shadow IT, I think, things like Dropbox where IT can't look at it and can't control some of the things that are going on. So for compliance-wise, it's helpful to the university. Yes?
So the fact that, because I have, this is it's a really basic, but
That's fine.
when things are stored in the cloud, I worry about security
Okay.
and confidentiality.
Yep.
And because we're now personally liable for breaches of data, is there stuff that we shouldn't be storing on OneDrive, or is we can put everything, including students' medical histories and applications for mitigation and cause for concern, academic misconduct, really confidential stuff on there, and be absolutely certain that nobody else can get hold of it?
So I think the important thing is there's 2 types of OneDrive.
Right.
So there's your personal area,
Right.
which is your 1 terabyte of space
which
that's
is
yours.
what I put all that stuff on and store
Yes.
on my computer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there will be areas that the university will provide for you to store things in.
Right.
Now, depending on how the policies work, and it's not up to me to dictate
No.
how the university does its policy, those sorts of things that you were talking about, I would
Yeah.
suggest are better off stored in an area that's provided for you, that is permissioned off so that only particular people get access to it.
So imagine Tundra as it is at the moment.
But I don't want anybody to have access to it, that's the point. You can't have people having access to students' applications for mitigation or references without their specific consent.
No,
so
but
this is what I'm concerned about.
But
Other
you're
people
not
can
the only person who's going to be handling that document on mitigating.
No.
There's going to be
but
other departments who will deal
Yeah.
with mitigating circumstances, and that's the university
Right.
solution. So imagine that we had a whole separate section that there was a policy on what data should be stored on there,
Will
the
there
file
be a
namings.
policy?
I am not writing it. It's down to IT and HR. So,
I'm
But I
suggesting,
tell you what, let's take this out.
I'm
and
suggesting there will be.
because it's really
together.
important
Yeah.
that we know what
So-
we can and can't store and
I
where
agree,
we can
I agree.
store it.
And I'm suggesting that if there isn't, there should be.
Yeah.
And for you to store it on your OneDrive area, which
Yeah.
is within the university, the terabytes area, you know that's just you that looks at
Yeah.
that. Now, it's like everything. If you have a network and the network manager needs to get into your drive for some reason, they could get into it. It's the same with OneDrive. So
Right.
if for some reason, or there was a legal hold put on it because of something,
That's different.
that
it's more,
can all happen.
it's
Yeah.
more it just getting out into
Sure.
the public domain.
So everything you store in your OneDrive
yeah.
is yours,
Right.
unless you choose to share it with somebody else.
Right.
Okay, we'll talk about sharing in a moment. So that's important. Anything you put into SharePoint
Yeah.
is then shared with those people that are a member of that SharePoint site. And it's how those permissions are worked out and who should view things are the important thing that you need as a university to think about and have policies around.
So you can have several shared point sites. So
Yes.
you could have one for your team, one for sharing
Yeah.
mitigation.
So
for
thinking of
us.
our shared drives that they
Yeah.
are at the moment,
Yeah.
and we need other
Yeah.
things.
Permission wise.
Yeah.
On each, you can have permission on each document, each library, each site. There are so many granular permissions that we could go to the nth degree on talking about them.
But that's not the purpose of today.
No.
That's
No.
the
But it's a
advanced
good
training
question.
session, which we will sign up with on this sign up sheet here. Stay in touch and we will keep on finding that out, because everyone needs to know what's going on with those sharing settings across, well, when IT do
Of course.
collaboration.
No, it's true. So in terms of OneDrive for yourselves though, your OneDrive files can sync to your PC or that you are currently using or have been assigned. You can also access them on the iPad, so it doesn't matter in terms of device what you're wanting to access. There are three symbols that are important to you. Okay, there's the one, the cloud one, where it's always in the cloud, therefore not stored on your device at all. There is the green tick, the hollow green tick, where you have recently brought it down and you've been working on it, so it knows that you've made access to it. And there is the solid green tick. The solid green tick means that it's stored on your device all the time. So you've always got a copy on your device, so say you're on the train or you're offline for some reason, you can work on that file, and as soon as you come back online, it's going to sync with your OneDrive. Okay? So that allows you to work on it all the time. That means, hollow tick means you've had it there, but it's still up in the cloud, and this one is in the cloud all the time. You can always get access to it, and you can always get access to it from whichever device you sign on to. So I can get access on my iPhone, my iPad, my PC, just depends what we're using. You can
Do
do
you
all
have
sorts
to
of things.
predict you're going to be on the train and you might not have access, but then you need it online?
Yeah.
Or can you always open
So,
it online?
No, because if you're not online,
So you
you've
don't-
lost that connectivity to it. So you've got to be connected to get to it if you're in either of these two situations. I tend to have my most recent 4 or 5 documents that I'm working on always saved to my machine. Once I'm done with them, I then change how I'm syncing it so it's into either of these two, so I'm not using them all the time. So it's just your most recent documents tend to be some of the ones that you would sync all the time. And that's the only other slide that we're going to use. Everything else is going to be going into it live. So, many of you will have arrived at this screen here. Oh, it says he. That's extended. Bear with me one second. You haven't arrived at that screen. If you did, it's a lovely place in front. Project.
Right, so if you go to the university's webpage,
Duplicate.
staff.
I do apologise, it is a little bit blurry. We're trying to clean it up as much as we can, make it as big as we can, but you've got devices next to you that you can follow along. So everyone's here, okay? This gives you access to your most recent apps. So you may have more or less apps than I currently have across the top here. And I can get access to common things like my Outlook folder. So I get my email. I've got a OneDrive icon when I can go and see what I've stored in OneDrive online here. I've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, which is where we're going to start. I've got something called Sway and Forms, which we're going to touch on today, and then that would be everything for us. So, everybody first says, how do I know I'm saving my file to the cloud? What do I have to do? Well, our recommendation is you always start from this screen. There are 2 ways. As with Microsoft, there's more than one way to do everything. You can click on OneDrive and then click New for a new file, but you also have this document pane here. So this shows some of the most recent documents I've been working on, okay? And I have a New button just to the right of it. If you click on the New button, it says, okay, from here you can open a Word document, an Excel document, a PowerPoint, or a Sway page. And by opening those, and I'm going to create a Word document now, we can all do that. I'm creating a Word Online document. It's a brand new document, completely clear of anything else. It says at the top in the middle, document. It also says the word save next to it. So it's already automatically saving my document in the cloud. I don't have to do anything else. Now I don't want lots of files called document, document 1, document 2, document 3. So you need to rename it. Quickest way to rename it is click on the word document. You'll then highlight it and you can change your text. So I'm going to call this training 2, because I've already done a training 1 this morning, and training 21. It's still saved, so it's renamed the document, it's still saved into the cloud automatically. So I can't lose my work. There's nothing worse, I'm sure all of you have tried it before, 2 or 3 hours worth of work, you haven't clicked that save button and you lose it, and you're like, oh, how can IT help me get it back? They don't need to now, because it's already here. It's always been saved. It doesn't matter now whether I open this document in the full-blown Word application okay, or if I'm doing it online, it still will automatically save there because it's the first place to save is in the cloud for you or on your OneDrive. Any quick questions about that?
So how do you get back into it again? If
Okay.
you close it down,
Yeah,
where
sure.
do you find it?
So if I come back to my home page here,
Yeah.
I can click into Word, and it's going to go to Word, telling me what's new today because it's done an update.
Because it's closed it down.
Okay, you can see my recent documents on the left-hand side that I've been working on, and Training 21 is already listed there, which is the one I've just saved it as.
So it's not
Everyone
saved
see that?
unusual when I go into documents, say, what we used to do, so you do now, when you go into this folder and then it's saved.
Not in the same way.
Yeah.
Because when you create the file, it's going to automatically be saving it all the
How do you
time.
get it into
So you said you
folders?
would put it on a cloud, is that what that
Yep.
basically means? Oh,
At
right.
the moment, let's focus
If
on
you-
this, but then we're
Provided
going
you
to
open it
folders.
from the web
From
interface.
Because
Yeah.
obviously it's going to
Yeah.
get
Start.
messy.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you open the full-blown Word application, you've still got to save.
Yeah.
Go through that process.
Yes.
So I'm trying to create shortcuts to make sure I don't use anything in the first place. So I've got my Training 21 docs up here, left-hand side. Just going to click back and open into it.
If you try and, if using what you said before, what renaming through the title on the top,
Yeah.
if you to open a new one and then rename it Training 21, would you get an error message? Or
It would say there's already a document that exists of this name. Do I want to replace it?
Okay.
Or what I want to do?
So you do that like now, if you want to do it, it tells you straight on this page, does it?
Yeah. So if I opened a new one, went Training 21 again, it would say there's a document that exists. And that's largely because I'm not actually placing the file in a particular folder. So I could put it into a folder and then make a new Training 21 if I needed. We can talk about folders in a moment. So I've created a document. I can then start writing in this document. Training for today. You can see my name up there. So it's saying that Alan Crawford is typing in here because that's me. The brilliant thing about Office 365 is I can start to share this with anyone I want to. So I know in this tenancy that Kevin is available. So I'm going to share this with Kevin right now. You'll see this as a bit of a theme. Please add your thoughts. So I'm clicking share. I've clicked on Kevin's name. It's gone to find him because he exists in Office 365. I'm then saying to him, please share your thoughts. And I'm sending this now to Kevin. And it's saying to me, a link to Training 21 docs has been sent. Okay, so Kevin is now receiving an email from me. Doesn't matter if he's in the room or if he's somewhere else. That makes no difference at all. And very shortly, once he gets there, it'll take him a minute or two once it gets there, you'll see that he will pop up here and it will say that Kevin is also editing that document. I've worked with groups of up to 60 to 80 at the same time on the same document, all working in exactly the same one, adding content, seeing what's going on, revising things, giving thoughts back to people. So it allows and opens up the ability for you to be really collaborative with your group of students or teams that you're working with, depending on your role. So I'm not presuming everybody's got the same role here. And this is just in Word. So if you imagine I take this into Excel, you can also collaborate. So you can have a number of students working on an Excel spreadsheet at the same time as well. You can take it into PowerPoint. You can also take it into OneNote, which is where we'll jump into in just a minute.
How do you add people to your share button? Because I've obviously got nobody to share with, so how do I get them to be able to
So
share?
you've got nobody to share with at all.
No, I'm just sad and lonely.
Yeah. So,
Well, I press
Get
share.
ready to have a whole world of friends coming.
but you should be able to
Nothing
start.
happens when I do.
So what have you
Nothing
got?
happens.
Just out of interest.
I'm pressing
Yeah,
share.
press it.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing
Yeah,
happens.
nothing happens on mine.
Nothing happens on anybody, so we're all sad and lonely.
They're not sharing now.
Firefox. You're on Firefox.
Go to Edge. Use them.
Oh no, don't tell me I've got to use another browser. So I could only use Chrome.
Yeah, but if it was barcode training, they should have told you in the barcode training that Firefox
change,
will be
yeah.
supported.
Eventually.
Yeah.
So we can only use this in Edge.
No, you can use it in Chrome.
Until you stop sharing.
Chrome.
I'm
So
in
it's your
Chrome
choice.
and it still won't let me share.
No?
Yes.
No, I can't use
So
Chrome.
you own the document, you choose who has access, you also get to revoke that access from
Yeah,
everyone as well.
So it's sort of temporary sharing whilst you're in that.
Yeah.
No, you stay there until you never show it. So once you've shared that document, it's for you and those people forever.
Edge for 365.
How you doing,
It's
Kevin?
obviously everybody's the same.
You shared it.
Yeah, it's great how some of you guys.
Oh, okay.
Session
Okay, it's kind of
Unless they didn't check it.
He went back to an
So the share function.
Yeah, and it came out. Yeah, so it'll send a link to him. Yeah, and then that's it. That's you sharing the document with each other.
I see.
You can both work on it exactly the same time. Revise it.
I have no idea what
Do whatever you want to. So everybody, if we just listen up for a sec. So it's a good question. So there's a link being shared over here. The person's then got the document. What you're now doing is preventing that email trail of you sending a document to someone who updates it, who sends it back to you, and you're not having to worry about versioning. Okay? Because you're both working on exactly the same document. If person B goes in and updates it, then person A can go back and have a look at it, B, C, whatever, however many people. It will also start to keep a version of the document for you. So when you've gone through a few iterations, you'll be able to click on the button here, it will drop down and it'll allow you to show all versions of the documents. You can roll back, you can move forward, you can look at the differences that are in it. You can see that Kevin's now here saying sorry for the delay. His iPad was not on the Wi-Fi, but it's all good now. So Kevin's working on the iPad, working on that document, as well as me working on a Windows 10 PC here. So the device is not necessarily always important when it comes to the students, because I imagine many of your students got lots of different devices, so being able to work with them and their Office 365 account is something that's really important. Not going to go through many of the other Word features there, because it's fairly standard, as you'd expect. There are a couple of things that probably aren't in there compared to the full-blown Word application. So references and citations, if you use any of those, you would need to load the full-blown Word application rather than the web version. But they can still collaborate. So I can be in the full-blown Word, still collaborate with Kevin, who's on an iPad, and I might be online. That doesn't matter. I can see that Kevin's in there editing it now, and it's showing me that one person is there.
How
So
do you change the full-blown Word from that screen, for example?
from this screen, I would go to. So I can open Word down here, just as an example.
Just
I'm-
a recent document.
Yeah, so it should, I'm in a different tenancy there, so from the one I was in, I just jumped across to another one where I've got loads of other documents. But if I was in the same tenancy as I'm working, my recent documents would appear here, I can click on there and I'd get exactly the same experience.
And whoever was sharing would still be sharing.
Yep, still sharing. Now, the sharing stays, so the important thing is that the sharing stays until you revoke it. So I created the document, therefore I own it. I choose who to share with and who not to share with. Okay? If after an hour of working with Kevin I think, oh, I've got everything I need, I don't need to share with him anymore, I can remove him from that sharing option, and it's back to being just my documents stored in my OneDrive all on my own.
Does
Okay.
he keep possession of it?
No, he doesn't. It sits in my OneDrive. So it's back to being locked down just to me.
So you are always the owner of the document.
The creator.
Does that include if you've downloaded it, so it's available on his device, surely it's
He would then, if he's created a local copy, that's different.
Can you set read only? So obviously to make
Can do read
sense,
only,
it's that not
So when I did it here, I clicked on the anyone with link can edit.
Okay.
I can do people with specific access, people in a particular environment, and I can also set an expiration date. So if I want to say he's got access to it for a week, he's got access to it for a week. The read-only bit is a bit misleading because you can always download a copy and edit it. There's no way to.
Why do you need to get rid of
those?
them?
Unless you create some in a PDF, you can go and go to that.
But why do you put the university's directory of all staff? So you'll need to speak to student records about that, but there's some reason why that it may be the students are left.
Regarding the actual access to the Excel, so you can do it with Excel, can't you?
Yes.
Excel, so with Excel, you can make a sharing document.
Because I haven't seen it in
I'll just type
Not
in.
as a
You can
non-business
type in
entity.
my name.
I would lock it down for it.
Oh, okay.
Bear in mind, this is not just what
Traditional way.
This is the whole directory.
From traditional style.
That's to describe when you're starting these types of
Can you create
things.
a password tab for that?
Treat it by an email address.
So you
I'm just going to have the
can-
same doing
So, just pull everyone back together for a moment. I said there's two ways to do everything. I've now dropped into my OneDrive area, and if you want to get to that, people familiar with the app launcher or the waffle in the top left-hand corner? Some people call it a waffle. Its technical name is the app launcher. If you click on the app launcher and click on your OneDrive icon for me, waffle or the app launcher. Its technical name is the app launcher. See how we get on. We'll be able to get to that.
Actually, at the same point,
Okay.
Kate had this when she was 16, she
Yeah.
couldn't share.
Yeah.
Well, she was just using the same document, she wasn't
Not
able to
yet.
share.
Oh,
So it looks like
Oh.
it's a work.
That's
When
okay.
I edit, it's not letting me know I'm editing. It won't let me share.
That's what just,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's for some reason, and that's the same, exactly the same for you,
Yeah.
it's blocking during the edit, whereas mine, I've been able to edit and add people. So this is something that I'll feed back to IT and say, look, why is it happening, or just cut it out. So, because it's cloud-based as well,
Okay, we'll wait.
it
We'll
might be
get
there's a
there.
variation in
Most people in the
when you set
OneDrive?
up the device.
Okay, what you'll now see from this area is the number of folders you already have at the top, and then documents that you've already created. Mine's quite limited, but a number of you have got some things in front of you already, which are showing your OneDrive area. From here, we can also create new documents. So I said there's a couple of ways. So if I click on New at the top, because I'm in my OneDrive, I can create a folder. If I want to create some folders for myself, I get a couple more options. I can do Word, Excel, PowerPoint as before, but I can also create a OneNote notebook. How many people have used OneNote? Yeah. So if some people are familiar with it, I'll do a quick run through of it so that people get the idea. If I was going to create a new OneNote, I would click on it. I have one already created that I'm going to jump to for you. And in OneNote Online, so if I just describe OneNote to you, I think of OneNote very much as a book. So you've got a front and back cover, which is the OneNote notebook that I'm in now. It also has what we call sections. I treat those sections as chapters, and then within each section you can have many pages. So if you think of it as being chapters as a section, pages within that chapter you can have there down here. So it makes it quite easy to think about. I've got an untitled section here with 2 pages in, one called Office 365 and one called Winston Churchill. Okay, and that's because Kevin added some stuff a bit earlier on. You'll get the idea that this is just a blank canvas that you can add all sorts of different things in. You can treat it like a notebook, you can set it up for your class or your module, your cohort. You can create a class notebook where you might have every single student's name down the left-hand side here, that you as the owner can see everybody's work. The student can only see their work in a collaborative area that you give them to work in. So you can share information with them really easily. If you distribute paper in your classes, for example, I can distribute a page here to the whole class in about 20 seconds. So I might have a page worth of information or tasks or things for them to do already set up. I could share this page with the whole class if it was a class notebook. I can reduce the amount of printing that I'm doing. I can reduce the amount of time it takes to hand things out. You can use this as an admin type tool as well. So if you've got an Outlook meeting, you can actually run your Outlook meeting from OneNote. It will bring up all your attendees. You can tick off if they attended. You can make notes about it that you can then share with everybody else after. So if your role is not just about teaching, but you run teams as well, you can have a look at how you can do that. I shared the OneNote with Kevin earlier. Okay, I used the share button, same as before. You can see that Kevin is working on this OneNote because he's in there. Alright, and he added some information into there earlier. He added a picture of himself and then drew on his machine here, me. I put, that's very nice, and he circled it because I didn't put the apostrophe in, so he's already picking up on things that I'm doing wrong, which is very kind of him. But it's always being saved. So again, it's naturally being saved because we created it in the online version in the cloud to start with. And that's something that's really popular.
Do you need a touchscreen to do that, or is there a tool to annotate?
So you can draw, and you can draw using your mouse, if you want to. Okay, I'm just going to go through some of that in just a moment. I'm just going to expand my screen a bit so it will become less blurry for you, so we can have a look at it. I'm going to get a bit bigger there. So, again, you should notice that the ribbon, as it's called at the moment, is very similar when you move from one thing to another. So Word looks similar to OneNote, which looks similar to Excel, and looks similar to PowerPoint. You get many of the same things in the same place. They're slightly different. Okay, so if I do insert here, you'll notice I can insert a new section, I can insert a new page, and that gives me my chapters or my pages within my chapters to keep adding to. I can insert recording, and I can also insert something called forms that we're going to get to a little bit later on and we'll talk about. In terms of the drawing, you click on the draw menu and you can see what's available. I can draw if I don't have a touch screen. Okay, so I can select the pen. I can then, by clicking, draw, well not very straight because I'm using the mouse, but you get the idea. So I don't actually have to have a touch screen to be able to add to it, so that's fine. Class Notebook I mentioned to you, so here are some of the things that you can do in Class Notebook. So you can distribute a page, distribute a section, so you can choose, if you've got a Class Notebook set up, saying, right, I'm going to deliver a lecture or I'm going to deliver some information on this today. I want them to have that so that they can follow along and they can do different things, and you can send that to them very, very quickly. You can then, if you're setting some assignments through here, and this can link to your Blackboard, that you have. Once you've got this link to Blackboard that Jim and I are going to talk about a little bit later, you can start to set some assignments from here and actually review students' work, and that will dynamically link to Blackboard to be able to do that for you. So that's really something that's really powerful.
Can you do that without having Blackboard? Can you just do it as a
just
sort
on
of
its own?
formative?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you could have a link that you send out as an announcement, or
Yeah.
just have a link directly. You don't need to have the integration,
No.
but it does allow deeper
So
integration.
that right there.
Yeah.
You can also add and remove teachers. So if you're not the only person delivering the module, and there's two of you are co-teaching it, you can add another teacher to this Class Notebook so that they can see the work as well as yourself. It's a great thing also to hand over if you picked up something mid-semester from someone else who may be going off for some reason or another. They can add you to the notebook so you can pick up where they left off, so you haven't got to start from scratch all the time. It's a very simple handover. One thing I will mention here is something based around the learning tools that are available, something called Immersive Reader. Has anybody heard anything about Microsoft Learning Tools? No? Okay, so Immersive Reader and the Immersive Tools is something that's very powerful. I'm just going to it now, and I'm just going to shut some of this for you.
How did you get into it?
Okay, bear with me 1 second. If you go to the View tab at the top there, you should have Reading View and Immersive Reader next to Editing. So if you click on the Immersive Reader, in general, it's about 10% of students will have a learning need, and 10% of staff. Actually, when you start to look at some of the figures that are around. I'm just going to turn some of the stuff off here so we go back to it and it'll make some sense for you. Okay. Quickly, come on. Okay, so let's go back to how it was. So, I've come into Learning Tools, and from Learning Tools, I can do something very simple.
Hello and welcome. Have added a new page with more text. Hey Alan thinks I thought it would be good to include a picture of myself. That's very nice.
Okay, so we can make it read aloud to us. So if you've got students with accessibility problems, you can have it read aloud to them, which is something that's fairly simple. I know. You can change the voices. You can make it go quicker or slower. So we did some work with some visually impaired people, and it's amazing how quickly they'll absorb stuff, and they will read things much quicker than I would. And so you can speed it up. So if I go a little bit more towards the hair there.
Hello and welcome. Have added a new page with more text. Hey Alan thinks I thought it would be good to include a picture.
Okay, sounds a bit funny, but it works. I've got the option to make the text bigger or smaller, and all the time I'm in this Immersive Reader view. Kevin's still in my OneNote in the traditional view. I'm not going to say normal view because I don't want to say great either, but Kevin's working there, so it doesn't matter if I'm working in here. I don't have to hide the fact that I need to be an immersive reader to have things for me, but I can work in here and nobody's aware of it. You could have 10, 15, 20 out of 40 students working in here. I've seen some professors actually use this to check through documents. When they've written a document, they play it back to themselves and they can hear whether they've made any mistakes in their text and alter that text from in there. So it's not just an accessibility tool, it's not just a learning tool, it's something you can apply and use in lots of different ways. I can change text size. I can increase the spacing, so I can make it better and easier for me to look at. There are 2 fonts in there, Calibri and Sticker. Those are the 2 fonts through talking with the Dyslexia Association, not me personally, but when Microsoft talked to them, are the best fonts for them to be able to look at and to be able to have access to. If need be, I can change the background for myself. It's my choice, I can have the different background that makes reading easier. You see some students who may come with a coloured sort of acetate they put on the top sometimes so they can access the reading. They can change it to make it comfortable for themselves. On top of that, I can introduce syllables if that helps for the student to be able to break it down. So I can break it up by syllables for people to be able to see it. I can introduce the nouns on the page. So if we needed to, if we're doing something that represents that. And newly added in the last couple of days, Kevin and I saw this morning, they've put the nouns above the word. And there's a reason for that, but I'll go through in a minute. I can add verbs, adjectives, and I've got the labels on or off. That's my choice. The reason they've added that in is because you can now change the colours. We talked about people possibly even being colourblind, and we dictated the colours of the nouns, the verbs and the adjectives. So you can now choose them and have whichever colour you like, which is powerful.
And can the students do that themselves?
Yes.
They can do all of
Yeah.
that. And we don't need to spend we could just put the thing we want them to read on there,
Yes.
and then they can customise
It's up to them to go in and customise it
and
as
they can then
and
listen
how
to
they
it.
want to
So
use
we
it.
don't need to do anything more with
No,
that. That's
and
just a student.
I was going to say, the other important aspect of this is, because it's running in the web browser, it will work on any device connected to the internet. So it could be a cheap £50 Android device, it could be a £1,000 Surface device, any device that's connected to the internet. You've now got this feature set of tools which are available to students. So it can be a
On the
smartphone,
iPads as well.
iPad, Android telephone, Android tablet, Windows tablet.
You can access this tool on Word as well. It's
Yes, so
not
this
just
is
on
now
Word.
built into Word, PowerPoint, OneNote, I believe it's in Excel yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet, but they're bringing it across. So it began here, okay? A couple of other quick things for you. You can also do line focus. So should they have a concentration or the page is too busy, you can focus just on 1 line, 3 lines, 5 lines, as you expect. The last thing, which may be helpful if you have some students who aren't really sure, English might not be their first language, for example, and they're not sure of a word. If I click on this word, because I've turned Picture Dictionary on, it's actually giving me a visual of what it is, okay? And they're brought in, I know, probably for younger ages, I get.
I'm just wondering what they'd do with some of the legal terms. And just
Yes, well, if it doesn't exist, it would be blank.
Dr. Colin Gray. Hello, my name is Colin Gray.
Can't stand it, I'm sure. Maybe a little bit, somewhere. If you're not sure what the picture is, this is picture in picture. If I click on the word picture, it will then read it. I had it very quick, as you notice. But also, if I come out of here for just a minute, let's go back. If I'm unsure of any word in any text, so on thought, for example, if I right-click the word thought, maybe not. Oh, it's because I'm still drawing. Sorry, bear with me a second. Right, so now if I right-click the word good, I should get the read aloud. Why have I not the read aloud?
I don't think it's in the...
Oh, they're not putting it into there yet?
Not in there at the moment,
Okay.
it's in the desktop version.
Oh, it's in the desktop. So in Word, for example, you can right-click and then choose read aloud for a phrase, and it will read it aloud for you. So you can have that, and it will say that word to you for you.
Do you click on or highlight? Do you have to highlight?
In Word, let me go to Word because I've just said it in OneNote and it's not there. So I kept 21, that's it. If I right click on sorry, is it only in the full blown.
Yeah, it's only
Only the desktop version, sorry.
It is
Not
on
the
the
web
next
version. So it'll come out in the next ones here. So, you want to go
Yeah,
next?
talking about Sway.
Sway. Let's introduce you to Sway. So if you go back to your app launcher, I'm going to stop calling it a waffle. Old stick.
I call it waffle.
And click on the Sway icon.
Okay, so Office Sway. I'm going to talk to you just about two other applications in Office 365, which are Sway or Office Sway and Forms. And they're two very kind of similar laid out products. So we're going to start with Sway. And Sway really is a digital storytelling tool. So, as I mentioned in the previous session, PowerPoint always has its place, but tentatively, if you kind of set assignments to students with PowerPoint, you either get two types. One which has sort of lots of animations, transitions, colours and things like that, which they've been planning. You lose sight of the actual information that they want to give you, or it's a black text on a white background kind of thing. So Sway is a digital storytelling tool, and that really means that all I need to do is concentrate on the information that I want to distribute, okay, and Sway will deal with all the rest. So what we have here is the Sway screen. And what I'm going to do is, please follow me along, is I'm going to just tap on the one that says Create New. And this is how I build a Sway. Okay, now organisations use it, or different organisations use it for, some people have replaced the work that they've traditionally done with PowerPoint, but other people use it for digital newsletters, things like that. The main thing to take away from this is, because this is a website, a web application, okay, is if I create some content and share it with you in the same way that Alan shared his Word document with me earlier on, I don't need to worry about what kind of device that you are looking at it on. So you could be sitting in a class with an 84-inch interactive whiteboard and you'll see it in one way. You could be sitting there with a 4-inch mobile telephone. You will still see all the content. It will not lose anything because of the screen size that it's working on. So as we can see here, I've got this blank screen. I've got what we call a card there, and that card is what we call a title card, because that's how all Sways start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue my Winston Churchill theme, because I was adding that into my OneNote notebook earlier on. So I'm going to do a Sway on Winston Churchill, and I'm just going to simply type that into the title box at the top there. Now, over here on the left-hand side, you get two buttons or two options. One that says Storyline, and that's where we are at the moment. We're in the Storyline mode. And then we have the Design mode. So this is what's it going to look like and how can we change that. So as you can see at the moment, Winston Churchill, that's all we put in the Storyline. If I go to Design, that's all it's saying. So the next stage is, for example here, to add a background picture. So I want to kind of bring this Sway to life, and simply by clicking on the background option there, over on the right hand side you'll get a bunch of groups, and of course the first group it will show you is what it's found in the keywords, so Winston Churchill. So if I tap on that one, I'm now going to pick up information from various sources about Winston Churchill, because it's a picture, it's a background. Now, traditionally when you do a PowerPoint, you would sit there and go, how big is this picture? Is it Creative Commons? Can I use that picture off the internet? Etc, etc, etc. First thing with Sway, first of all of the default searches are Creative Commons only, so anything that you pick up from the suggested box is going to be royalty free. And secondly, the thing is, because it's a web-based application, we are not actually worried about the resolution or the size of the picture. So I can pick this picture here of Winston Churchill, I can click on it, and I can drag it into the box, and that's all I would need to do. Okay. If I tap on the Design, if I get my finger in the right place, you can see what it's done is it's now dropped that picture in. Now, that picture resolution was something like, I don't know, 570 by something like that. So I didn't need to worry about that. Okay, it could be a 2000, 3000, it could be a high-res picture, anything like that. It will resize it for my Sway. Now, the other thing about Sway is it's based on the AI, or the Microsoft Artificial Intelligence engine, which drives this. So, again, things like the pictures, faces and things like that, it won't truncate off. It will recognise that that's a face and try and make that the main part of the picture there. Now, what I'm now going to do is we're just going to keep things real. So I'm going to go to just going to grab a bit of Winston Churchill text just to add into my picture. So let's have a look. And here we go. So I'm just going to rip out a couple of paragraphs and add that into my.
Just switch.
Yep.
So Kevin does that. For a quick reason. So as Kevin's quickly doing that, on my device, on my phone here, I've got the Winston Churchill Sway that Kevin's currently working on. So you can see how quick that is and seamless. I can click into it, I can open the Sway, see what's happening in there, and you can see what it looks like on a phone. I can add, at the same time, I can start to add more cards and do more work on it. So it's just a quick aside. We go back to computer or USB, bear with me.
Superb. Okay. So what we've done to add the text in there is I've gone to the plus button at the bottom of the card and selected a new text card. Okay. So that text card means that you can type the text in there if you want to. Okay. Or in this case, I've just filtered it from another website. If I go and add another card, okay, I can now go and maybe go to my subheading here, which is media. And I can pick up a card. So if I go media and video, it now adds me a card. And if you'll notice, as soon as I add a video card, all of the sources over on this side will automatically just update to show me only videos. And again, if you've ever added videos into PowerPoint to try and distribute it to people and things like that, well, again, with Sway, it's as simple as just dragging the video that I want and dropping it in the box. So if I look at my design tab, now let's have a look and see what that Sway is beginning to look like. You can see it's there we go, there's my title page, there's my text, and there's my video. If I click on the video,
My Winston Churchill says it right across his face.
yep, that's fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
How do you move it?
Pardon?
What if you want to move it?
Okay, so if you want to move it, okay,
Oh, edit it.
no, so if you want to move the text, then this actually isn't the application, because Sway does the design for you. Now, if you want to move the text, the best way we can do it is in the design mode, is go to the button up here in the top, which says Styles. Okay.
Right.
Now, the difference in using this in compared with PowerPoint is that Sway does the layout and the design for you. It is only a digital storytelling tool. Okay, so it's not necessarily you must sit there and go, do I need to use this instead of PowerPoint? This is for certain things. So if you look in the remix box, I can change the way my Sway goes, okay? But up here I have a remix button, which I can keep pressing, and you'll see it will just run through thousands of designs, okay? It will just keep running through thousands until I get to a layout, which I think is what I want. So now my Sway goes actually up and down rather than left to right. And as Alan showed you, okay, that if Alan now looked at that Sway on his phone, it will be in a different layout, okay, because it will just resize itself for that. So really what I'd like you to be able to do is just to make sure that you're happy that you can go and create a Sway, okay, you can create a Sway, you can add a picture, you can add some text, and you can add a video at the bottom there. Okay. Once you've done that, we would have the same scenario which we would have with what Alan showed you earlier on, with Word. We have the ability to share. So I could share with a specific person, okay, so I can share with Alan, I can type in his email address and it will send him that link. I can allow Alan the ability to edit or view,
Okay, so it's read only. Do I just want to distribute it for people to look at, or do I want people to collaborate with me on? I can send it out to anybody in the organisation. So again, if I send it out and I put this onto your LMS or something like that, or social media site, what it would require is it would require someone with a Northampton Office 365 address to sign in. Okay, so it won't allow anybody externally from the organisation. Okay, or the last one is anyone with a link. So anyone with a link could be that you actually want to reach to a big wider audience with the content as well, and therefore you don't need people to sign in with an Office 365 account. So
QR code, just so we don't miss that one.
we won't get that's in forms.
Forms.
We don't do that either. That still doesn't.
Do you?
Not yet. Okay. So when we look at the sway now, okay, this is what I would see in my sway. And again, I can add other cards. So I can add things like comparison cards and things. So there's stuff in sway that you can do which you can't do in PowerPoint in that respect. So sway, great tool. As I say, feel free to have a play with it. While I'm now going to talk about the kind of companion app called Forms. And you'll see when I look at Forms how similar it is, and the reason why it's similar, of course, it was built by the same engineering team. Okay, so if I go back to my waffle, or go back to my app launch page, and I'm just going to choose Forms. Okay, what we'll see is a Forms page. Okay, so I get forms themselves, I get forms that are shared with me, and I get group forms. But we're just going to concentrate on the standalone form at the moment. So if I go to a new form, this is very straightforward. All I need to do is add a title, and I can add some questions. If I go, rather than typing it all in, I'm just going to go to the Office 365 training one we've done earlier. And as you can see here, here's a great layout. So I've added the title and I've added the questions. So have a look at the questions themselves. You get 4 types, you get a choice, you get text, you get a rating, and you get a date question. Okay, so you can simply just pick out, let's have a rating question, and I can add that in there. So it can be, please rate this form. And I can say I want, for example, we're going to rate it out of 10. So a little configuration we do. On all the kind of questions I've got, these are required options, so I can make it a required answer. So if I'm sending that out, that as well. And literally, we're now adding the next question into the line. Okay, I've hit the theme button, I've created a jazzy background for it, things like that. But the major thing to be aware of here is if I hit the preview button, okay, this is a preview of what this form would look like to the end user using a laptop or desktop computer. Okay, but again, because it's like Sway and it's web-based, it's going to work equally well on a mobile device as well. Okay, so students, you can get students to, you know, if you were surveying or questioning or something like that, we can allow that to be easily used on mobile as a platform. Now, if I hit the share button here, same thing as we looked at earlier on. I've got my link which I can share out with anybody. And I can also hit the next one, and that will generate me a QR code. So all I need is a mobile phone with a QR code reader. Point it at that and I will be in the form. Okay?
So can you send this to the students who are in your group on
Yep.
the day?
Yep.
Yeah? So how do you get, because you just put, if you put a question which says yes or no, how do you, can you put in something which says which is the right answer?
You can do. So what we would actually be doing is, if we go back to forms then, we would actually be doing a quiz.
Oh,
Okay, so a form is just getting feedback. If you're wanting to quiz students, we'd be using a quiz. And it looks exactly the same, but when I add a question and add a, for example, a choice question, if I look over here, I have a couple of options which allow me to tick the box to make that's the right one, and I can add like a question tip as well. So I can say, actually, this is the right one, or that isn't the right one, or something like that. So I can kind of give an extra layer of feedback in there as well. But that would be a quiz rather than a form.
on forms, can you add free text? So can you add a sentence?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So that is just in the, if I go and go text and go a long answer.
No, not as the as an answer. You can add free text.
Yep.
Yeah.
Both Sway and Forms, are they compatible with screen readers? I've just done.
Are they compatible with screen readers?
I suppose when you
Sway
publish it,
is.
they just highlight.
What's let's see.
Accessibility.
Yeah.
So when you add
You did the same thing that you did
you
before.
can do like a multiple
One
choice,
note.
No,
free
not quite the
text.
same.
So
It's a shame.
Sway has
And then
an
you've also got
accessibility
rankings and
checker
remarks
built
as well.
into it in that respect. So
A new form.
you can run that accessibility checker in that respect. I'm not sure what the result would be with a screen reader. I've never tried it.
You're talking about JAWS or something like that.
So you could say
Or even
3
if
stars
students were
and
using another form of editing, like text help or Claris, if they don't want to use the when
so
would
that's
that work
working
in the
out
immersion
question.
area, or is that purely limited
Doesn't
to
work.
Word?
It doesn't work at the moment, although
Yeah.
Edge
And you can do, if you put
is doing some
long
things.
answer,
Or, I mean, or is
Yeah.
there a
and
facility
required, then
to
they
view
have
it
to
in
answer
plain
it and it
text
allows
if the
space
font
to
was
extend the
troublesome or
answer.
if the spacing was
So,
troublesome,
yeah.
can they adjust the viewing of
So
it?
up here, when you're using Microsoft Edge, for example, we haven't got time to go through it, but there's a little book that's greyed out there at the moment. If you selected an article from the website, it would allow you to click on that and it would take away all of the distraction around you.
It's the same immersive reader.
Yeah, and I think the hope is, as things develop, that this will become available if need be within there as well.
So it's not quite the same as turning the cascading style sheet off,
Yeah.
and then you just see everything minus images. It just clears everything off and just gives you the screen of text. So we'll have to work further on that and maybe bring some students in, see
Yeah.
what the different functions are, and make sure it's fit. And then
And give us some feedback,
Yeah.
so we can take that back to the accessibility team, so that
Yeah,
we know what we've got to
But
work
I
with.
mean, as I say, this is within Sway. If you look within like PowerPoint as well, PowerPoint Online, you've got compatibility with screen readers there already. So, you know, a PowerPoint deck, if you kind of insert a text image, it will actually add the old text in there for you for screen readers and things like that, and the accessibility view
Yeah,
does the same
PowerPoint
thing.
works quite well. I
Yeah.
suppose I'm starting to think that if perhaps academic colleagues are looking at this and thinking, oh great, I can do online forms and lectures, that's brilliant, and they're rolling it out in a nice sort of interactive way, which is great. But if there are students that rely on the technology to access
I think it would be. I think it would actually be a really good opportunity at this point to be able to come and try that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely. We'll get
because
a
again-
working group together because we don't want to
again,
bring in.
Back to accessibility, and people like Hector would be really, you know, if that functionality is there, then that would be something that they would be very keen to get resolved on.
Yeah,
absolutely want the engagement, don't you? With
Sure,
the students,
sure.
that's
No, no.
fantastic.
And-
It's in an inclusive.
And Microsoft are working really hard on just that. As I say, Kevin normally has a screen reader, an eye control file that you put on sometimes on the machine, so you can show how you control it with your eyes. And Windows 10 has made huge leaps in allowing people to do that. So they're working really hard. But feedback is important, obviously, to us all the time.
So reach out to me, Jim.Harris at Northampton, or LD, so Learning Design, because we're working within the Learning Technology team, and we are trying as much as possible to make sure we've got inclusivity just as a standard part of any question that we ask, not just as an optional extra. Okay.
Yeah.
So just before we wrap up from that side, if I go back to edit, one of the things just to be aware of in there is when I shared this form. Sorry, when I shared, where was I? Oh, when I went back to, let me go back to form very quickly. What we have with these kind of applications is the ability to link them together. Just as an example, if I go back to my Office 365 training, I could send that link out in my MS or anything like that, no problem at all. However, I've got my QR code as I mentioned, but what I could do is I could take that embed code idea, and what I could do is I could link that into Sway. So you could build a Sway with the content, and you could have the form at the end of it, and it then treats it as one document. So always think about the ability that these applications, though they're kind of standalone, we can take a Sway link and put that into OneNote, Okay, and then everybody in the OneNote would have access to that sway or that form and things like that. So there's some great interoperability between them.
In terms of the responses group forms, so I've set one up to try and use it to collect information for digitisation, for example, with chapters. We've got it currently, and I'm going to say the wrong words to you now, but we've got it currently set up in Google Forms, and it automatically downloads into a spreadsheet that we'll set it up so it downloads into a spreadsheet. How do you do that? Because I've been trying my hardest.
So in the responses in the Office forms, you get a real-time response to the Office forms, but you have the button there that should say open in Excel.
But we are on an iPad, so the interface.
It did have that, but it's a team item. So would every single person have to open it in Excel and open up their own spreadsheet, that's. In Google Docs, you don't have that.
If you bear with, I'll talk to you about that after.
There's an answer to that.
Because there are answers and ways of doing it.
There's an
but I'm conscious we're going to run over.
Yeah, we're about 2 minutes over, so
we haven't got to planner. So we can either stop there, because I know you guys have probably got things you've got to do, and Jim can maybe pick up some planner things, or I can quickly run through planner in 2 minutes. Should I do it quickly? Yeah, okay, just so you see it.
No, I can't.
Okay, if you go to your app launcher, top left hand side, and then show all apps, you should be able to find it down there, yeah? Because sometimes it doesn't appear on your launch screen, and maybe it's built underneath. So if I quickly just go to planner. So we've got one that's already open. It's if you've ever used other type of planning tools out there, there are a few. It's very similar. So you get a number of buckets that you can use. This one's got a to-do bucket. It's then got project A, needs analysis, etc. You can create as many different buckets as you want. You can then create tasks within the buckets. So I could create a task that was for a whole cohort or a team of people to do something and give it a date, give it some information. They are then dropping that task now into your Outlook calendar. So if somebody's created a task for me within Planner, it will arrive in my Outlook calendar for me then to complete and give me a deadline in which to complete it. I can drag and drop tasks around as much as I like, which is fine. I can also see it in a chart view, and I'm aware I'm zoomed in there so you can see that. This one, for example, 2 tasks left to start, one's late, one's completed, and one is not started in this, and you can see what it's like as a bar chart. But if you imagine you had more people in there, you get a much fuller picture of the things that are going on. Very simple visual for you to be able to look at. Embeds into lots of other things as well, so you've got access to it to look at lots of different teams as you become part of more groups, as your Office 365 develops. You will see how that begins to work. A really simple overview if you manage a team of who's doing what, who's on target to complete things, who's falling behind, who do you need to go and have a word with. Really simple management tool. Very good with users, with students as well. So if you create a number of tasks based on here, and you've broken it down into small chunks, you can see who's starting to miss, therefore who's starting to slip, and who you need to have a one-to-one with or work with as you're going through different things. I'm aware that's a very quick whiz around planning. There's a little bit more than that, but we'll stop there because I know you all need to get off.
Online training manuals somewhere?
So there is lots of online training in, do you want me to show Mac very quickly or leave it for you?
No, because we haven't quite rolled out.
So there are lots of things that Jim is going to talk about from his 3 days with us last week, and is going to be rolled out so that you can pick up all these things.
So there are videos, for example, of the application into the classroom. So it talks about some of the features and then how you might use that practically. We've also got access to lynda.com, which has more advanced information, more kind of instructional design working through. So as far as how we respond and whether we just open it up to you and say, go for your life, or if we do it as more targeted, what is it you're trying to achieve, and let's make sure that we get the right package for you. We'll just work through. Okay.
Any questions? Feel free to ask us. Kevin and I are around, obviously, or head everything towards Jim. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Hope that's been useful.
Well, but this is the thing, you know, Atkinson's meant to be doing it, but
yeah.
not to say that you just need Jim to go down.
That's it.
Another dip.
Exactly, it's really because of how do you apply this into teaching, how do students use it, which there's things like planning. If you imagine that was all your assessments, and then you had the opportunity to see, actually these 20 students haven't even read the brief yet. That's actually quite a powerful thing. Plus they said that this can link in directly to the students' outlook calendar, which means that if you put an assessment date in here, okay, it can push it out to all the students. Well, we can't even do that tonight at the moment, so that's really powerful that I want to investigate and see if we can insert it right now.